I followed my dreams and opened an antique store to have adventures and spend time as a family. Sometimes you have to climb a mountain and open some new doors to find the treasures inside. This is our life, this is our adventure, and this is Curiosity Inc. Hey guys, so if you recall, a few weeks ago I picked up this 53 Nash. And the old lacquer paint isn't actually in bad shape, it's just dull. Lacquer paint does get oxidized, and with a good polish, this car will shine right back up. The other thing I liked about it, as I opened the door up here, was that the interior is in excellent shape. At some point, someone has redone the entire interior, back to front, new headliner, the whole deal. So the interior is flawless, the dashboard is mint, and it looks fantastic. Cute little car. I couldn't just leave it alone. I like to do weird things with my cars. My wife knows that I like unusual stuff. So you'd look at that car and you'd probably think that's already kind of an unusual car. But I have something up my sleeve for it that's gonna make it even a little bit more different. But to give you a hint, first thing I have to do is clean up the doors on it and make sure they're dirt-free. So about a week ago, I went to this website, and this isn't a sponsorship thing, I just am showing where I got it from. You can design and style your own lettering, and the nice thing about this company that does the vinyl lettering is that you can do an outline. So I am replicating a vintage Nash pace car. So I measured it out on my doors, tried to copy the same kind of font that Nash actually used in the late 40s on their pace cars. And I've got it ready, so I really need to make sure I'm reading the instructions well, because I've only got one shot at this, and if I screw up, it's kind of done. So they say basically, and I've done this before, they say line it up, tape it in place. After it's in place, you peel the backing off, and then you start at the top and kind of work your way down. Now, they make it look really easy, but if you get one little crinkle or one little spot that's not right, it could really screw up your whole lettering, so you really do have to take your time with it. And that's why I had to keep the doors clean on the car, because we're gonna put some decaling on it today, some decal. I don't know, you guys say it differently in some parts of the world, but this is the vinyl lettering that we've got, and we're gonna put this on the car today. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking there's no way that Nash would have been used as a pace car, but that's where you're wrong. In fact, in 1947, Nash was chosen as the provider of the official vehicle for the Indianapolis 500. Now, this was the first time that a four-door sedan had been used in a race, and many people have said it's one of the worst pace cars ever made because it was a four-door sedan, not that there's anything wrong with it. But other speedways use Nash as his pace car, and even Miss America had used a Nash almost exactly like mine as the official Miss America car. So they do have a history of sponsorship, and that's what I'm going at with this car. But in the mid-50s, they were still a competitive vehicle. If you think about the Hudson program, a similar lineage. So they did have kind of a racing history. So I am going to harken back to that history. If you say, well, why would you put it on this car? If you remember, I am working on an old race car myself, which is an Indianapolis style or looking race car, but more of a 1930s era. The goal is to get this to be my tow car for my race car. It already has a hitch on the back. I just have to put a ball on it. And I should be able to tow my little race car around to events, hopefully this coming summer, if all goes as planned and the car gets finished, the race car gets finished. So, and why do lettering, vinyl lettering like this versus doing hand-painted lettering, which is what it would have been originally? Well, the big reason is not everybody's a big fan of having sign-painted cars. I like it. You know, I'm doing this up for me. It's something just for fun. But if I go to resell the car at some point, it might actually be a hindrance to the sellability of the vehicle to have professionally painted doors with Indianapolis lettering on it. So I've decided just to do the removable vinyl lettering. You just heat it up with a heat gun or with a hair dryer and pull it off. So it's not the end of the world. I can have fun with it and then take it off later. So I guess the passenger door will be our guinea pig door first. We'll try it out. So the idea is that this will go somewhere on the side, kind of in the middle like this, and then the Nash part will go up. But I have to measure and then measure again and then tape it in place, and then I can try and get this installed and hopefully looking good. So first step, I think what I'm going to do is put the larger wording on, and then I'll place the Nash lettering above it just so I can center it a little easier. So my lettering is roughly, well, pretty darn close to 25 inches across. what I want to do is measure the door, find the center of the door, and then I'll mark it off. I'm just going to use these little stickies to mark off the edges. It's no big deal. You could use painter's tape or whatever. I just happen to have this around, so we'll use that. They'll come off again really easy afterwards. So we're going to measure out where this is going to go, mark it, and then get it in place. And I have measured out the door, and it is 45 inches across, so to make it even, I'd go 10 inches in on either side, which will take the 20 and leave us 25, which is the exact right width of the lettering that we need. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to mark in 10 from the left and then 10 from the right, and I'll do up a little bit as well, so I know where this thing's going to sit. And maybe not the most scientific method in the world, but I've got my dots in place. I've marked where it's going to go, so this has to sit basically right in between those dots. I'm going to measure up from the bottom to make sure it's even, and that should leave a nice little spot here for the Nash logo itself to go. So we're going to get this in place and applied pretty quick here. Okay, so I've done my measuring. I've got it in place. It's going to go 3.5 inches up from the top on both sides. I've used a little bit of tape to hold it in place, so that should be the exact right centering that I need for it. The next step is going to be to carefully pull and kind of push down. You want to work your way from the top down and then the center out to get any bubbles or imperfections out, and with luck, fingers crossed, this thing will go on okay. Oh, and this is the part that always makes me the most nervous, is getting every little bump and bubble out, and you kind of just work your way over each and every letter to make sure you've got it on there super good. Because when you pull this adhesive tape, basically, that's what this is, that's holding this, the lettering on itself, you don't want it to come off with it. So we're just going to go over everything, work it all in, and make sure that all these little wrinkles and stuff are out. Now, this is an outdoor vinyl, so this will stand up against salt and snow and any kind of weather, car washes, that kind of stuff that we should throw at it. It's only going to come off if we decide it needs to come off. But making sure you've got it on there really good the first time around is important, because you can't really put a lot of pressure on the surface after this, otherwise you're going to scratch it or damage it. So this is the time to do it, and do it right. So I'm going to work on this for a couple minutes. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see how this looks. You want to go slow at first because you don't want to accidentally take the letters up with it. I chose kind of a gold with black outline because I think that was a little bit more vintage looking, and kind of found an Art Deco font to match, something that would have been a little bit more period, something a sign maker might have been doing back in the time. So I'm going really slow here because I don't want it to rip up the lettering. But so far, oh, see, look, it's starting to come up right there. That's why you gotta go slow. I'm gonna push that back down. So I'm gonna keep pulling this, but that's okay. If it does, that's why you wanna catch it when it does that. So you can just push it right back down again. See, there it is. It's all fine now. Here's the last little bit. Well, that's part of it. Official pace car 500-mile race, and they didn't really call it the Indianapolis 500 back then. They called it the 500-mile race. And I got the date for when that race happened in '53, which is when this car would have been the pace car if it was actually a pace car. But I think so far that looks pretty cool. I'm just going to get the Nash logo mounted on there, and it'll look a lot more official. Should have this just about ready. I'm gonna grab a corner, one that's hopefully a little bit loose. I'll use the tape here. Don't need that anymore. Let's see if we can get a, there we are. Okay, and again, slow and easy. You don't want to take the letters with you after doing all that work. I chose the red and black because I figured, hey, Nash would have been a pretty proud sponsor of this race, and they'd want their name to really stand out. This lettering I chose for the Nash name itself is really close to the script that they used, the font that they used on the actual pace car. So I'm kind of proud of myself for finding something similar. I'm trying to respect the history of the race, even though I'm making up my own version of this car. It's kind of like when I built that police car last year. That was just sort of a homage. This is the same kind of deal. Let's stick this over here. There we go. One side down, Nash. Official pace car, 500-mile race. May 30th, 53. I think it looks pretty cool. And the thing is, somebody's going to think this is actually a pace car. And the driver's side is pretty much just the same thing. Rinse, repeat what you did before, same measurements, but on the other door. We're going to get this all off. And she's just about done. Well, it's a little dark out now. I'll have to wait until daytime to get a better look at my handiwork on the car. See how she looks in the morning. Hey, well, it's the next morning and me and the boy are gonna go get some lunch, but we're gonna check out the car and see how she looks. So this is what Dad was doing last night when you guys were upstairs. I made my car into a pace car. What do you think?
It looks really good.
Yeah, see, it's actually turned out fairly straight. I was worried that they'd be crooked when you're putting these things on, but it turned out pretty good. I checked the other side, watch the other side. Hopefully it won't be a disaster. No, it's all right. I think it looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good.
So all in all, the little Nash turned out pretty good. It's a cheap way to have fun with the car and to not have to worry too much about wrecking it, because those will just come right off. They're basically like stickers, so it'll stand up, look cool, and we'll have a little fun with it. So thanks for watching this week's adventure as we put a little color, a little life into the old Nash. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Bye for now.